French President Emmanuel Macron is hosting German Chancellor Olaf Scholz for a joint ministerial summit today. The two leaders and their respective cabinets are expected to hold talks on energy, economic policy, and defense, subjects they haven't seen eye to eye on recently. 300 lawmakers from both countries are also coming together to mark 60 years since the landmark Elysee Treaty, an agreement which brought post-war France and Germany closer together and laid the foundations for today's European Union.
Frequent visits in Berlin and Paris, friendly pats on the back. Officially, the German-French partnership is close, even if behind the scenes there's a lot of misunderstanding and anger. The correct response to the Russian onslaught on Ukraine, delivery of weapons for Ukraine, relief for companies and consumers who are suffering from the energy crisis caused by Russia. The list of disputes in the day-to-day politics is long. French President Emmanuel Macron has warned Germany not to go it alone and to have more respect for its partners in Europe.
It's not good, neither for Germany nor for Europe, if one country isolates itself.
Is there a real rift in the fundamental relationship? Senior analyst Johannes Greubel says yes, but fences have to be mended for the sake of the European Union.
The Franco-German initiative was the foundation of it, and of course especially in this current time when we see a war raging in Europe, when we see Putin wanting to spread disunity among the European Union, when we see within the Union disagreements among member states between East and West, North and South, this couple is more necessarily to be united as ever.
The German side admits that there are differences on various topics, but German Chancellor Olaf Scholz always insists that relations with France could not be closer nor more important.
We've agreed for a long time already that our countries can only face the challenges of our times together within a strong and sovereign Europe. On this path, we will continue together.
Diesen Weg wollen wir gemeinsam weitergehen.
The friendship between France and Germany formally started exactly 60 years ago with a treaty signed at the Elysee, the presidential palace in Paris. President Charles de Gaulle and German Chancellor Konrad Adenauer had the vision to overcome centuries of hostility shortly after World War II. The German-French couple was formed to be the powerhouse of the European Union. The Elysee Treaty was renewed in 2019 with the Treaty of Aachen, a town on the Belgian-German border. This treaty stated again that Germany and France will work as a kind of engine for the growing European Union. Policy analyst Johannes Greubel says the EU cannot function without that engine.
The EU would not work without France and Germany forging joint positions and being the starting point of these joint positions.
In Aachen, during the signing ceremony, the former president of the European Commission, Jean-Claude Juncker, said there might be arguments between France and Germany, but like in a long-lasting marriage, there must be always a compromise. For small neighbors like his home country, Luxembourg, this is especially important.
The German-French friendship guarantees a peaceful future for Europe if France and Germany share their friendship with others. And that they do.
Vive l'entente franco-allemande et vive l'Europe. Es lebe die deutsch-französische Freundschaft und Europa. Vielen Dank.
For the view from Paris, where that summit is taking place, let's bring in our correspondent Lisa Louis. Lisa, a point of friction between the two countries is the issue of supplying Ukraine with German-built tanks. Paris is insisting on it, yet Berlin appears indecisive on the matter. How much unity is there between the two neighbors?
Well, we can say that these 60 years of cooperation, of bilateral cooperation, have not been easy. It's been a bumpy road with many periods where France and Germany didn't seem to agree. But arguably, these past few months have not been easy at all, especially since the last joint cabinet meeting last October was pushed back or cancelled, according to who you listen to. And the two countries seem to be disagreeing on several issues. Behind the scenes, the Elysee and the German government have been telling us that everything is okay, that this is nothing out of the ordinary. But many observers have said there are really signs of strong dissent behind the scenes, and there are high expectations when it comes to today's cabinet meeting. There will also be a ceremony before the cabinet meeting to celebrate the 60 years of Elysee Treaty. And observers have been telling me what we really need is a strong show of bilateral cooperation. For example, an agreement on energy or economic matters to show that these tough times are now behind us.
As you well know, French President Emmanuel Macron was known to be very close with the German Chancellor's predecessor, Angela Merkel. How would you describe the relationship between Macron and Olaf Scholz today?
Well, you're right. Macron and Angela Merkel were very close. They were exchanging texts on a constant basis. They were coordinating very closely. And this close cooperation has not been installed yet between Emmanuel Macron and Olaf Scholz. They're very different in character indeed. You know, Olaf Scholz is from northern Germany. He's known to be rather pragmatic, down-to-earth, calm, whereas Emmanuel Macron, he likes big symbols. He likes to show that there is, this strong Franco-German couple, and he likes to hold long speeches. So they're very different, and for now at least they seem to not have found a common path, although one must say that often when there is a new government in place in one country or in both countries for that matter, it takes a little bit of time for the two governments, for the two heads of state to find an agreement and to work together. So maybe in the coming months it will go more smoothly after all.
Lisa, very briefly, tell us a bit about the Franco-German Council of Ministers. What exactly is going to happen in Paris today?
Well, there will be a meeting of members of parliament at the Sorbonne University just behind me, between obviously the French and the German parliament, and then the cabinet will meet at the Elysee Palace later this afternoon. They will have several topics: energy, economics, obviously the war in Ukraine, climate, and we can maybe expect some announcement when it comes to economics, or even when it comes to energy. Some observers have been telling me that they're expecting, for example, a common agreement on a new hydrogen network in Europe. That is one of the possibilities that are on the table. We will be watching closely today's meeting.
Elysee, many, many thanks.